Hi, this is Doug from HomesNOW Not Later. I just wanted to give everyone a few updates. HomesNOW has added a new board member. Welcome Genissa Richardson to the board. Genissa brings years of legal experience to the table for HomesNOW, and she is legal counsel for HomesNOW as well. We are thankful that she has been volunteering with us. In my last video a few weeks ago, I discussed how Unity Village was at risk of being shut down because we were not able to follow one of the conditions of our permit, which stated that a non-resident board member or volunteer acting in a board member capacity had to be present on site 24 hours a day. Before COVID, we were in compliance with that policy, even though it was difficult. We now have an updated permit, and we are now allowed to have on-site resident managers, but there are a few conditions which we had to accept to come into compliance with on the new terms. We felt it was an acceptable compromise. The new terms are as follows. Number 1, a resident of the temporary encampment may be designated as the on-site manager and another resident as the on-site assistant manager. HomesNOW must identify the individuals to the city, and these positions shall not be assigned on a rotating basis. To ensure stability in the encampment, the on-site manager and assistant manager must have been successful resident of the encampment for no less than 6 months. Either the on-site manager or the assistant manager shall be on-site 24/7. HomesNOW may add, number 2, HomesNOW may add additional residents to occupy the existing 20 tiny homes, but shall not add any new tiny home structures without additional city approvals. Should additional residents be admitted, a board member or non-resident volunteer shall be on site 24/7 for no less than 7 consecutive days from the initial date of entry of the new resident to ensure the compatibility with pre-existing residents and maintenance of the status quo. Number 3, new residents shall not be allowed at the encampment without providing a negative COVID-19 test result from a test not more than 3 days prior to the admission of the encampment. Board members and non-resident volunteers and residents shall wear mask coverings and practice social distancing at all times while at the encampment site. New board members, new non-resident volunteers, and visitors are allowed at the encampment as long as they wear masks and practice social distancing at all times. Number 4, board members and or non-resident volunteers shall coordinate with the on-site manager and physically visit the site daily. An updated list of all HomesNOW board members and approved volunteers shall be submitted to the Planning and Community Development Department immediately and updated monthly if necessary. And we've already sent them that list. Number 5, the city will monitor the effectiveness of the on-site resident manager and assistant manager. If any significant health or safety issues arise at the encampment, the city may, with written notice to HomesNOW, reimpose Condition 16 of USE 2019-0016. And number 6, the city will also monitor the impact of the encampment of adding new residents and allowing new board members, new volunteers, and new visitors into the encampment. If significant health or safety issues arise at the encampment, the city may, with written notice to HomesNOW, reimpose Condition 53 of the first amended permit. If no significant health or safety issues arise at the encampment for 90 days after admitting additional residents, the requirement for a board member or non-resident volunteer to be on site 24/7 for no less than 1 week from the initial date of entry of the new resident shall expire. That means that after 90 days, if things go smoothly, that we don't have to do the board member staying for the first 7 days thing. If you'd like to read our amended permit and the city's exhibits of fact to come to their conclusion to amend the permit for us, I have attached it in the description of the video. Unity Village continues to run smoothly and safely. With these changes, it's been running better than ever. We also had a resident recently find housing, and another is due to find housing at the end of this month. Things could change, but it's looking good. I would like to propose to the city that HomesNOW could. I would also like to propose to the city that HomesNOW could use the former Safe Haven location in the Whatcom 911 dispatch center parking lot. Assuming there's no emergency encampments available before winter sets in, we are proposing we could have access to the site in January or February, which would give us time to construct around 15 tiny homes as the weather improves and avoiding tents altogether. We also have a connection on a warehouse we can use to build before that if we know that we'll be able to set up there. We are still waiting to hear back from Mayor Fleetwood about that possibility. If that location has been slated for another purpose, we understand. But if it's going to remain an empty parking lot, then it would be a really easy site to get up and running, because it already has all the hookups we need, and the Sunnyland neighborhood liked us when we were hosted there as a tent encampment. This is what it looks like right now. As you can see, it's an empty parking lot with an RV in it, but I don't know whose RV that is, or if it's an employee there or whatever. But yeah, I mean, we could set up like 15 tiny homes there, and we could house more people pretty easily, especially since we already have all the hookups. We do not require any direct government funding to get this working, and the construction of the new homes would be a community project for our volunteers and the general public. We're excited to get started if the city is willing to work with us on this site. We already have companies and organizations which have offered to build a number of the structures for free. We're ready to go. In the past, it's been our experience that the city has let us know ahead of time whether turning in a proposal for a specific site was viable or not, since they are more aware of the use of the land required after speaking to various departments. Because sometimes certain individuals don't know, and they have to compare notes with other departments and stuff like that. Also, we are open to other sites as well, such as the former Clean Green site, formerly slated to move Unity Village to, but we can build a second village there. And it also has a lot of land for parking as well, if we wanted to do a combined combined program, as what was discussed during the last Homeless Strategies work group meeting. If the mayor and the city is in support of that or something like that, we'd be happy to get started, and we have the paperwork ready to go as soon as the city is ready to strike a deal. I also wanted to discuss a separate issue regarding the camp cleanups. Recently, Marcus D., as homeless advocate for Whatcom County on the Whatcom County Homeless Strategies work group, got a message from City Council member Hannah Stone, where she stated that she was not at liberty to share the documentation that was provided to her in regards to the camp cleanups policy for review purposes. We requested these records, or these basic pieces of information, months ago. But I don't remember the exact date, but it's been like 2 or 3 months. However, she had access to this. She had access to these documents in draft form because she was helping to draft the new documents with the BPD, as stated by Officer Crass at the last Homeless Strategies work group meeting. Here's a link to that meeting. Councilmember Hannah Stone also stated the documentation has not been provided to other city council members, including Michael Lilliquist, who requested the information as well. From my perspective, I think that information about this important and specific policy should be available to the general public to have input and influence about what would be the best policy and procedures for camp cleanup policy in general. Luckily, Dana Jensen was able to obtain the information through a formal public records request, reference number P004995-083120, and was kind enough to share these documents with us. I have attached links to the documents for everyone to read at their own leisure. If Councilmember Michael Lilliquist needs these documents as well, as he requested, he can find the links to them in the description of this video for review. The information requested was as follows. Number 1, any existing outlines or flow chart indicating what actions lead to a cleanup. Number 2, the definition from the city about sweeps versus cleanups. A spreadsheet that shows which camps were cleaned up and which camps were left alone. The written procedures and policies for camp cleanups from the BPD previous to COVID. And the last one, the written procedures and policies for camp cleanups as of August 31st, the date of the public records request. For item 1, Dana was able to obtain a draft of the Bellingham Police Department's camp cleanup procedures document for 2020. I have attached that document in the description of this video. For item 2, the definition between sweeps versus cleanups is stated in the new BPD's camp cleanup procedures document. In that document regarding this, it states, that sweeps are when a homeless camp, the definition of sweeps. A homeless camp sweep is an indiscriminate disbanding of homeless encampments on public property and the removal of both homeless individuals and their property from that area. A complaint is not required. Camps are sought out. The process is not prioritized. It is random and does not provide any notification or outreach services. They define cleanups as a camp cleanup is complaint driven with outreach services offered. We do not seek out camp locations. Community partners like the HOT team are made aware and verify reported camps. They can assist with housing, behavioral health issues, and drug addiction. The active camps are prioritized based on their impact and hazard level. Camp occupants are given a 5-day courtesy notice to gather their belongings and work with outreach services. After the grace period, a city contracted cleanup crew will clean the campsite and gather remaining items to make an area safe and help with environmental concerns. For item 3, documentation related to how many camps were cleaned up and how many were left alone was requested. Between May and July of 2020, the BPD received 209 encampment reports. 84 encampments were cleaned up and 18 encampments were left alone. The document also provides a few examples of camps which did not meet the requirements for having to be cleaned up. I have attached this document to the description of this video as well. Item number 4, the written policies and procedures before COVID, as well as item 5, policies for camp cleanups as of August 31st, the date of the public records request, were not available. The reason given was that regarding the first 2 items requested, your request was forwarded to the lieutenant in charge of the camp cleanups, and he advised that no responsive records exist. So if we're forming this policy for the first time, it should be open to the public. We can together come up with the best policies and procedures in order to assure that camps that are a real hazard can be cleaned up, but other camps which are not causing any major issues can be left alone. We should also be looking for new and better ways to help campers in general that have not been causing any major issues and can be left alone. We should also be looking for new and better ways to help campers in general have a housing option of some kind that's an option to step up to in general from various service providers. That is why we are trying to build villages on empty parking lots to help with this problem to some extent. We're only one group of many. I'm not saying that all camps won't have to be cleaned up either. I'm only saying that big picture, there should be ways to reduce the number of camps in general by implementing alternatives which are not really readily available for people camping oftentimes. For example, a significant number of the residents of Unity Village were formerly campers who would still be out there if not for them having the option of the village to help them get back on their feet. I hope that this information is useful, and I'm glad that there's actually a policy or some procedures now in writing. I'm not sure why there needs to be secrecy around these documents, and I'm happy to share them all with you. We made progress, and it was definitely a group effort. Thank you, Marcus, for pushing so hard on this. I know it wasn't easy, and it was frustrating trying to get this most basic info. Also, thank you, Dana Jensen, for actually being able to obtain the information that was asked for. I am surprised it took this long. I expected that they already had it and we would get it in like a week or something, but I guess not. Well, I think I've rambled on long enough. Have a great night, stay safe, and have fun. Good luck with that. Have a great night.